So the Gospel of Mark, the name Mark actually means devoted to the god Mars. And it's interesting because let's say you were Roman and you wanted to name your kid something that reflected strength and power and control, you might name them Mark. And it's interesting when you think about today with how people look up to the Navy SEALs, how people look up to someone like David Goggins. They see like their physical fitness, they see their physical endurance, but they also see sort of their courage and their control over their mind and kind of like the inner power they have and how they control it and bring out as much as they can from their spirit. And that is sort of how it is with the Gospel of Mark. Like Mark kind of portrays this angle to Jesus. And I don't believe in the Trinity, but I ultimately think it's portraying God as being like it's this angle of God as being powerful and controlled. So there's a parable that's unique to Mark, and it's about a farmer who he puts a seed in the ground. And the parable says that whether the farmer sleeps or whether he's awake, the seed is growing and growing. He doesn't understand how it happens, but it goes stage by stage by stage. And it eventually like fully becomes like the plant that he's growing. And what it's trying to say is like everything in the world is sort of shaped and developed by God. And even though nowadays, yeah, we know in certain terms about like how plants work, I still think plants, just like animals, have minds, and we don't really fully understand that component. And there's much more to life that we don't understand only in part, but not fully. And the thing is that every action we take, every decision we make is kind of like a seed, but God controls how it develops and how it's shaped. And that particular parable really emphasizes God's power, which is why it's in Mark. And it's interesting also, Mark uses this Greek word, I'm going to butcher it, euthase, and it has to do with like moving swiftly, like this idea of like doing something decisively, then going to the next thing in a controlled, like disciplined, decisive way, like no second thoughts. And that's used a lot in Mark. So it's sort of like painting this picture of Jesus as this really like powerful, controlled person. And God is having this like strength, control, and power. And all the Gospels, their names really reflect the meaning of the gospel.